The Tennessee Vols embarrassed themselves in a blowout loss to Ohio State.
Tennessee gets their asses kicked in the shoe.
I'm Shea and this is Jace. Welcome to the PCS Volcast. Ohio State wins 42-17 against the Vols. We're going to go over our thoughts, the M&LVPs, and how our predictions held up. If you enjoy the video, give us a like and subscribe for more. But let's just jump into our thoughts.
Yeah, so a lot happened this game, not a whole lot positive for Tennessee. I mean, we'll just start from the beginning. Ohio State looked completely unstoppable. They went up 21-0 in the first quarter, and there was really nothing Tennessee could do about it. Like, we just kind of got manhandled. Ohio State's wide receivers looked unstoppable. That was kind of the, big exclamation mark in our preview video. And yeah, we just got dogged on short, medium, and deep routes. They would throw a different look at us every play, and everything would work.
Literally no matter what the receivers were running, Will Howard was going to put on the money, and they were going to catch it.
Secondary got cooked. I think the biggest thing that we have to figure out here is what happened in terms of was Ohio State really good or were we really bad? I am inclined to lean more a little bit toward the Ohio State being really good. But, we weren't very impressive regardless of what happened. I know Jeremiah Smith is a beast. He, beat us over the top twice, and he had many more intermediate routes.
Yeah, and with that, Jermon McCoy was getting cooked.
Yeah.
And if I'm an NFL scout and I'm watching this game, and I'm watching him specifically, I'm thinking, he's really good against lower-level competition. But, most of the guys in the NFL are going to be the receivers that Ohio State have. And for him to get cooked the way he did, I would be very just unimpressed by him.
So if you look at our defense this season, we've only given up 20 or more three different times this season. Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Ohio State. Two of those were pretty bad losses. And Vanderbilt, they had that kickoff at the beginning of the game. I don't really count that, but, whatever. And then Arkansas almost got 20. They got to 19. So those are our three losses right there. Georgia, Ohio State, and Arkansas. Whenever we play competition good enough so that our defense falters even a little bit, that's when we lose games. Now this game, though, is completely different. We just got beat on both sides of the ball. I kind of want to step back and talk about an elephant in the room for me being Dylan Sampson. He only got 2 carries all game. And I didn't realize that, but when I saw that at the end of the game, I was shocked. But I realized those injuries that were lingering from the Vanderbilt game for most of our team still carried over. I'm not even going to say that was why we lost. I still think we would have lost even if all those guys had played.
Because I think we lost because we simply did not come out to win. I think with or without Dylan Sampson, I agree. We were going to lose because despite them running out with their shirts off in the cold, their confidence was non-existent after the first quarter, probably after the first drive.
Yeah.
They were getting out physical. So I don't care how much confidence they pretended to have at the beginning. It ended up just being extremely embarrassing.
Yeah. I do think that Dylan Sampson being there would have helped us a little bit. I don't think it would have won us the game. I think the score might have looked a little bit more manageable, I guess, or just better, as you could say. But, because Peyton Lewis had 10 carries for 77 yards. That's pretty good.
That is good.
7.7 yards per carry. He looked promising if we're trying to take any, positive takeaways from this game. But
I'll be honest. I didn't even know Dylan Sampson I didn't even know that he was hurt.
Well, he didn't look he never fell down on the field, or he never visibly looked injured, I guess. But he was on the sideline. The reporter was saying that he had some lingering injuries and just things that were nagging at him. Clearly, they were bad enough so that he wasn't in the game, ever basically.
Yeah.
He got a reception, I think, in the middle of the game. But I think that once the score got really out of hand, Heupel just pulled him because he knew it wasn't worth it. Which I respect that to an extent because he knew that he was going to declare for the draft.
At what point do you think Heupel thought it was over?
Well, it wasn't halftime because it was 21-10 at halftime, which, you still have a little bit of hope. We get ball at half. We can put up a touchdown right then and there. It's 21-17. There's a chance.
You and we were not feeling any better about it, though.
No, I acknowledge that, there was a hope, but, after we got punched in the mouth like that in the first quarter, it's just wow.
We knew that was going to just continue to happen.
But to answer your question, I would say somewhere in the third because they came out and scored in the third quarter before we did.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it got to 35-10 at one point. He wasn't coming in that fourth quarter. So, yeah, as we were saying, that first quarter was just deadly for us. All the Ohio State players looked absolutely perfect pretty much. They were really getting us with a lot of horizontal movement pre and post snap, which just completely confused our defense. And then, as you said, Will Howard just put on the money every time.
Yeah.
He was 24 for 29, 98.8 QBR. I mean, that's just elite.
I mean, it was his best game of the season.
Yeah.
If not his career.
Yeah. They just looked super fluid, and our defense just they had no idea what was going on, or they were just getting out-athleted, I guess you could say, like Jermon McCoy, when Emeka Egbuka was just running past our guys to get open. It's just one thing after another. So
on the bright side, defensively, I thought Aaron Carter looked pretty good. He helped Will Brooks get that pick, and that was against one of their receivers, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was Jeremiah Smith, yeah.
Which, he ran right past him, but he caught up. And I ended up looking at Aaron Carter's profile after watching it. Because I'll be honest, I didn't know that he was a 4-star or anything, but he ran hurdles in high school. Like,
I didn't know that.
He's quick, and he showed it. So I thought, on the few plays that I was watching him, I thought he looked really good.
He's like a natural-born leader. I think he's going to be really good next year. I mean, we kind of need him to be. We're losing a lot of guys defensively, so we need to have a steady rock defensively. But another, guy who's going to be here next year is Nico. Yeah. And although he was just looking like a chicken with his head cut off out there. But he did show a lot of heart, and I'm really grateful for that.
He
was able to at least attempt to win us the game when it was unwinnable.
Whenever I'm watching him run, and this is like past him looking like a giraffe and all that, but like whenever he tries to juke someone out and he like flings his head one way or the other, did you notice that at all? Because I was like,
he's trying to sell it so hard that the whole body.
I know, it was like, I don't know, it kind of gave me the ick, but but yeah, his heart was there.
He was making some good plays out there. Like those little head jukes or whatever were working to an extent. He only had 47 rushing yards, which are sack adjusted. But yeah, I mean, it really, whenever our receivers got locked down or whatever, he was getting chased. He was trying his hardest to evade. But something that I noticed that this kind of like clicked for me watching this game, I guess looking at the whole season, our receivers are horrible, specifically in the scramble drill. Nico, his throw on the run has been spotty this year, but just nobody gets open. I mean, everyone has their predetermined routes that, are supposed to get open immediately in our offense, but they don't for some reason.
Well, I think they're garbage, first of all.
Yeah, the play calling is something that I want to talk about later in this episode. But, yeah, the receivers in this game specifically and really all year in the scramble drill just been terrible. No playmaking ability. It's been disappointing.
I've basically been a broken record all season long talking about the play calling on third down. I'm just going to say that when we're watching the Tennessee offense, just pretend like there's only 2 downs. Because that's all it is. We have 2 tries to make a first down, and if we don't get it, we're not getting it on third down. We just won't. Mm-hmm. Literally on, 3rd and 17, at the beginning of the game, when I'm pretty sure we went 3 and out, maybe it's Heupel, maybe it's the OC, I don't know. But somebody is responsible for calling a terrible screen on third down.
Didn't even work.
It wasn't even close to working. And I think we had 3 more plays similar to that. None of them were close to working. It hasn't even worked all year. And while we're already down, the play calling is kicking us while we're down. It was just so annoying.
We just need to be more creative because our scheme, we know that it works. 2022 and even 2023 at times, Joe Milton was our quarterback, and it still worked at times. It wasn't perfect, but it was honestly a lot better, I think offensively than this year in terms of execution. Now, Nico hasn't really had an explosive passing game other than the gimme games, non-SEC, I'll say. So this this offseason, this next season is going to be really interesting in thinking about, is this scheme going to work for us?
Yeah.
Without a Hendon Hooker and a Jalen Hyde, I guess.
I think the answer is no. And is that all Heupel can do?
Yeah, yes. That's his whole shtick is a scheme. I think it can work. I'm still a believer, and I just think that the first 3 games of next season we have Syracuse, we have a few other teams. Nico's performance is going to be very indicative through the air, I'll say, because we already know he can run a little bit.
Yeah,
but
he'll hit you with that fucking head swivel, dude.
Yeah. But we need receivers that are going to step up. Squirrel White has entered the transfer portal, which he's been dealing with injuries all season, so it might not hurt us that much. Mike Matthews, that's a big question mark. I think all Tennessee fans are just crossing their fingers that he's going to stay. Chris Brazzell will stay. And then obviously the biggest story for incoming portal traffic for Tennessee is the all-out push for the USC wide receiver Zachariah Branch. That would be a huge addition for us. He's a pretty good playmaker. But yeah, we just need to find some guys in the portal or get some guys who will step up for us to be playmakers. We're not asking for a Jalen Hyde or a Cedric Tillman, but just guys who can give us a little bit of life so that Nico doesn't have to do everything next year. And then also looking at next year, as I said, Peyton Lewis, he projects to be our RB1 next season, which I'm pretty happy with. At the beginning of the season, I wasn't too impressed with him, but I think he's coming to his own more as a relief guy, and he's going to get more or less the full workload going into next season.
Yeah, I had the exact same thoughts on Peyton Lewis because I was kind of sad that he was going to be our main guy, hoping that we'd pick someone up in the transfer portal. But I think we're going to be okay.
We're going to have him, Deshaun Bishop. I forgot his name, but we have a 4-star guy coming in because Cam Seldon and Khalifa Keith are both transferring, and obviously Sampson's going to the draft, which is good for him for sure. And then finishing up here with the Ohio State side of things, Ryan Day really, really redeemed himself from the Michigan game. We were talking a lot about him in our previous video, and he stepped up to the plate. He just called an excellent game plan, offensively and defensively. And yeah, he did exactly what Ohio State fans have been wanting him to do all year, specifically with putting a lot of emphasis on the passing game. We usually don't see this a lot, but I feel like for Ohio State, they kind of opened up their run with their pass. Usually it's the other way around, but they just came out swinging, as we said, in the first quarter with throwing the ball. And I don't want to glaze or anything, but I think that Jeremiah Smith is on pace to be the best college receiver of all time. He is so insane. He broke Ohio State records, and he has 2 more years of dominance, as long as Ohio State can, wrap up a quarterback that they're confident in.
Literally, Ohio State was always a step ahead of us in every way. It felt like, even in celebrations, the Polynesian guy on their defensive line, was hitting this or whatever, and then Nico, scores the touchdown in the fourth quarter, and when he does it, it's like, I got the ick again, bro.
Yeah, well, we were just down by so much at that point. It's like there's no reason.
His huge bug eyes were just staring into the camera as he did it, and it was like, this is not cool, bro. But
yeah, no, they were a step ahead, play calling and athleticism. Literally athleticism, they were a step ahead of us every time. Whenever Emeka Egbuka caught the ball, he was just a step or multiple steps ahead of our defenders with those drag routes. The drag routes were killing us. It was embarrassing,
yeah.
But it completely neutralized our pass rush, our pressure, which was theoretically the best component of our defense. But they either got the ball out so quick or were just so butt naked wide open that our pressure, if we even got any, meant nothing.
So now let's look at the M&LVPs from this game. For Tennessee, we had no MVPs. I think collectively the entire team was terrible. Literally everyone just stooped down to the same level and played that way the entire game.
I went ahead and said Nico. I was just impressed with how much heart he's shown when in previous games he just kind of folded, I guess you could say. It gives me hope and confidence for next season that he will kind of evolve from this intermediate stage that he's at right now of not being a true freshman, but getting a lot of playing time, obviously being the starter this year. But yeah, you want to see him, kind of will us to victory in this situation, but I just don't think there was anything he could do. But I'll give him the MVP just for the heart he showed.
And then for Ohio State, I said everybody. It's basically just they all rose to their max potential and stayed that way the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's coaching or the environment. It definitely wasn't the weather, but that's what they did. The complete opposite of what we did. MVP, the whole team. Give them all a trophy.
Yep, I wrote word for word everyone who wore an Ohio State logo. That is their players, their coaches, their medical staff, everybody. But specifically Ryan Day, Will Howard, Jeremiah Smith, and Travion Henderson. I could say the defensive line. I could say everybody. You understand, it's the whole team. But specifically those guys, Will Howard played exceptional. Ryan Day might have saved his job here. Just squeaking out a victory and then losing the next game to Oregon still could have had him fired. So blowing out a playoff team is really good for his career, I guess. And then my final MVP is the Michigan Wolverines. You got to give them some credit for absolutely blowing out Ohio State by 3. But for all we know, Ohio State might not have come out with the same rage against Tennessee if they hadn't lost to their arch rival Michigan for the 4th year in a row or something.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why we were talking about Ryan Day being in the hot seat. Yeah. And like you said, that is no more.
Yes.
For sure.
Unless he loses to Michigan again, which, if you look at the past few years, will probably happen. But.
Yeah. For the LVPs, mine starts with Tennessee. Everybody. Literally, they all suck. I wasn't impressed with a single person, and especially not impressed with the coaching staff. I do think the team, seeing them run out shirtless was funny, and a little embarrassing because none of them were like all that in shape either. Like, isn't your whole job to be fit?
Well, like, the whole point of that was to brag and say we're ready for this, and then they come out 21-0.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, I think the coaching staff could have set up the offense better on the first few drives. Going back to that screen that I was talking about, just stuff like that. Honestly, I don't even think the penalties were as bad as they usually are.
They weren't game-losing for us.
Yeah, it was just literally the scheme and how we came out was game-losing from the jump.
And, the player difference. Like, I don't want to, be like, oh, they were just, too good and, cry about that. Because, they were a really good team, and they were better than us, and they are better than us. And, they had the most expensive roster in football, which, again, is not they pay for their players kind of thing, because that's legal now, and that's, what you should be doing if you want to win.
Yeah, we're all doing that.
But, yeah, I had the same thing. Everyone who wore a Tennessee logo, and, again, specifically, the Tennessee offensive line and the Tennessee secondary, the O-line just didn't look like they played in the same, Division I, I guess, as Ohio State. They just look like they're in their own kind of league.
Yeah.
Really, that's my biggest issue going into the portal is we need to go to a line, and we've recruited 2 guys, one from Arizona and somebody else. They got to be good though. But and then the secondary, I still think they're pretty good, but we thought it was an unstoppable force meets an immovable object type of thing, and that's not what it was at all. They are the unstoppable force, and we got moved quite a bit.
For Ohio State's LVP, I said nobody. Again, they all played really well. We played really bad. I've already said it 3 times. I don't think they had a least valuable player. I don't either. They came to play.
Yep, they did. For my second Tennessee LVP, I had Tim Banks. This is an interesting question that we have to ask ourselves going into the next season, the next few seasons, if we're trying to compete at a national level, is, the Heupel thing. I'm still going to believe. I'm going to give him this year, and then we'll see after that. But I still think there's no reason to question him because this is, we did make the playoffs. That is something that we should be proud about. But looking more specifically at the staff, what kind of guys are just Heupel's buddies, guys he retained from UCF, and then what kind of guys are legit, staffs that can bring us to national contention?
Yeah, we need more elevators.
Yes, Tim Banks is on that fine line, I believe, because he did a lot of amazing things this year with a lot of amazing talent, though, and his scheme is still very exploitable with that zone. If you can get by a lot of pressure, and you can have a quarterback that's accurate, can piece of zone, you're probably going to beat us. So, what's the next kind of evolution for Tim Banks? Because I don't think you can sit here and say, just do exactly what you did last year, because we're going to have less talent defensively next year. And, again, it is exploitable. So we just really need to sit down. Heupel needs to sit down and maybe weed out some of these staff members and then think about Tim Banks as well.
That would be awesome if that actually happened.
Yeah, it would, which I don't know if it will happen or not, but we'll see. And then my final Tennessee LVP is a combination of the injuries, the training staff, and the medical staff. Guys still weren't fully healthy in this game. So we gotta get healthy. We gotta figure it out. We gotta either play more guys throughout the year, play more freshmen so we don't lose them in the transfer portal, or figure out a way to just have our medical stuff be elevated. I don't really know what it is, but we just have to be healthy as the seasons close out from here on out.
It's kind of funny, though, because all season long, all we heard was how good our depth was.
Yep.
You know?
And that Samson was getting all these carries and that he's an Iron Man type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we need him most, I'm not going to say it's his fault because, injuries happen to everybody. But when we need him most, he just isn't there for us because of injuries.
Yeah, and so for my last LVP, I had...
wait.
Oh, no.
I gotta go pick up my wife's boyfriend from prison. I'll be right back. Prison. My wife's boyfriend.
I had... Oh, Coatman. Sadly, I was expecting you. I knew this was coming, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't have much to say today. 42-17, really, Tennessee. You fucking suck. The season's over. Transfer portal's looking pretty shit, too. Yeah, I mean, what are we doing?
We still have our offensive coordinator. He hasn't been...
You know what? Forget football. It's basketball season, baby. Your Vols are undefeated. Your Lady Vols are undefeated. SEC play starts on January 4th. These bozos are going to make videos about that too, so stay tuned. For some reason, I don't know why you'd watch that, but, it's basketball season. We're competing for it all this year. Number 1 team in the country. Yeah. Who needs football?
No, for sure. Coatman.
I'm out of here.
No,
Screw you.
No, you're right. Basketball, Ziegler. So now, Jason and I, we're going to go over our PCS prediction scores. If you don't know, the PCS is a very fun and simple way for you and your friends to predict the final score of volunteer football games and basketball games, which is going to be coming up. And you get a prediction score at the end, and that score tells you who had a better prediction and who was more accurate. So for me, I said 24-20. This came out to 151 prediction score, which is a C. Very bad. I think one of my worst since those early weeks. What I'm about to say is going to sound like I'm just saying this because the game's over and has already been played. But when it first came out officially that we were going to be playing Ohio State, this was the score that popped in my head. 42-17. That was like the first thing I thought. I was like, we're going to get blown out. We're going to look so bad, and Ohio State's just going to play so much better than us. Now, as the weeks went by, I convinced myself that was wrong. Yep. That we had a chance. I started, and then at the end, I was convinced we were going to win. But when it first came out, 42-17, flashed in my head, something like that. I should have kept it there, you know. But here we are.
The exact same, pretty much with me. When the matchup and the line, all that first came out, I thought, I don't know about 42-17. I thought we'd maybe lose by 10 or 13, something around there. But I thought we were going to lose too. And then, as you said, we just kind of felt some momentum creeping up as the weeks went by. That those buffer weeks in between the end of the season, the Vanderbilt game, and then the Ohio State game was really bad for Tennessee fans because we really got our hopes up, which also allowed, as we said in the last video, the fans to show up. A bunch of fans showed up. Team did not. But yeah, I said 37-34 in overtime. I was getting a little creative with my prediction. Obviously, it was close to going to overtime, but not close enough. I had a prediction score of 160, which was also a C. I thought it could have been a lot worse. My prediction could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
to be
me
honest.
too.
So, yeah, this is definitely the worst one we've had recently. Not our proudest way to go out at the end of the Tennessee year, but I think Tennessee's performance was a little bit worse than ours. So.
Yeah, I agree. If you want to do the same thing, basketball season is here. We're about to go into the SEC play. Jace and I are going to be talking about that, along with a friend of ours, Top Floor Sports. He'll be joining us. You can predict the basketball games at the PCSonline.com.
Mm-hmm. That video you talked about with Top Floor Sports, we're going to put his link in the description. We're going to be going over every single SEC team and ranking them. It's a pretty fun video. And yeah, as you said, we're going to be doing the PCS for basketball season. We're really excited for that. And then we're going to be releasing a video for the Arkansas preview. All the games start on January 4th. So yeah, we're really excited for that.
Yeah, so please subscribe because we're going to have a lot more content coming out. Like this video if you enjoyed it. This has been Shea and Jace.
Go Vols!
Go Vols!